Gurumin, A Monstrous Adventure is a great action RPG from Nihon Falcom. It's an incredibly underrated and not very well known game, probably due to it not being part of the Ys or Trails series from Falcom. The strange name also probably doesn't help. Overall, this game has cute and charming graphics, interesting characters and locations, and a ton of replayability. Gurumin was originally released in 2004, but only for the PC in Japan. In 2007, it was released worldwide for the PlayStation Portable. This version had some minor changes like a few puzzles due to lack of a keyboard on the PSP, and the rhythm meter being removed. This version did get a full translation as well as English language voiceovers. It also received a release on the Nintendo 3DS, digital only, under the title Gurumin 3D. This version is similar to the PSP one, except with a 2D and 3D mode. Finally, it was released for PCs worldwide in 2015. This re-release has all the content of the original version, plus the English voiceovers and translation, and was enhanced to run at higher resolutions than what was available in 2004. You can get this version on Steam or GOG.com currently for roughly around $10. This is the version that I played, and I really enjoyed my first playthrough of the game. This is one that I'd like to come back to in the future, as there is extra content that was unlocked after beating it. The game opens up with a short cutscene. A young girl, Parin, arrives in the mining town to stay with her grandfather while her parents are traveling the world on some expedition. Parin learns that she is the only child in town, and there are no one else for her to play with. As you explore the town, you'll run into what appears to be a girl being harassed by a dog. You save the girl and become friends with her, but this isn't a normal girl. Her name is Pino, and she's a monster. She lives in Monster Village, which is connected to your town by a magical portal. You travel with her to Monster Village and meet with all her friends. After a short montage of Parin playing with the other monster children, there's an attack on the village by another faction of monsters called Phantoms. The village is destroyed, your monster friend's scared off, and Pino is kidnapped. Using the village's mystic drill, you set off to save the monsters, defeat the Phantoms, and help restore the village. The story itself has lots of twists and turns, and you'll meet a lot of different characters along your way. You'll spend most of your time in the monster world, but we'll need to travel to the human world from time to time, especially to buy healing items, equipment, and weapon upgrades. It's never explicitly stated, but it's quite possible that everything that happens in this game is all in Parin's imagination, similar to Alice from Alice in Wonderland. After all, only children can see monsters, and Parin is the only child in town. Also, of all of the adventure happens outside of the town, which Parin reaches by crawling under a broken section of the town wall. The story itself seems somewhat simple in concept, but I really enjoyed it. That's because every character in this game, both ally and enemy, have tons of personality. No person is the same, and everyone in the game has something charming about themselves. When certain characters interact with each other, hilarity ensues, but there are some really emotional, touching scenes as well. Despite the monsters living a happy and carefree lifestyle, there are some sad and painful memories brewing just underneath the surface. The townspeople have interesting quirks, which mostly annoy Parin. Her grandfather will ramble on, as many old people in cartoons tend to do, and forgets things that he said or heard only moments before. Other characters like Disc, the accessory shop clerk, always talks about new technology, which Parin doesn't really care about. And what JRPG wouldn't be complete without a character like Cylinder, a creepy middle-aged man who keeps trying to get Parin, a 10-year-old, to go on a date with him. The monsters not only have interesting personalities, but interesting designs as well. For instance, Poco looks like a gummy candy who enjoys dancing. Pierre is a refined Frenchman who enjoys collecting elegant furniture, and becomes possessed when you put hats on him. There are a few main goals of the game. You'll first need to find and rescue the monsters from the village. Then, you'll need to help them rebuild the town. Finally, you'll have to defeat the Phantoms and stop them from enacting their evil plan that will destroy both the monster world and the human world. The overworld map works a lot like the map in Super Mario World. You'll start at Monster Village, and there are a few paths that you can take. Most of the world is covered in a dark fog, and to open up more of the world to explore, you'll need to find and return lost items from the village. Returning these keepsakes will allow the monsters to clear away some of the fog with their positive mental energy. As the map opens up, there will be more locations to visit, and the game gets a little less linear, as you get to choose which areas to explore first. When you enter a location, the game switches to third-person view and looks similar to the 3D Ys games of the time. Locations work similar to Legend of Zelda Dungeon. You'll proceed through an area, fighting monsters, exploring rooms, acquiring treasure, solving puzzles to progress, and obtaining a monster's keepsake at the end of the area. I really enjoyed the combat. Parin attacks with her drill, which is the legendary monster village weapon that saved the town by killing a dragon long ago. She has a standard attack as well as special attacks that she can learn. Those require entering a button combination to execute. In addition to attacking, she can jump, perform a slide move that allows her to pass through things like electric barriers, or quickly dodge a projectile or attack from an enemy. You can obtain drill parts that add elemental force to your attack. There's ice, fire, and lightning elemental parts, and certain enemies will be weak or immune to certain attacks. Luckily, you can change drill parts on the fly during combat by accessing the menu, so you can find the one that they're weak against. What really sets this game apart from others is the critical hit system. At the top of the screen is a rhythm bar with music notes that bounce to the beat of the background music. If you attack when the music notes join together on the beat, you'll score a critical hit, which does more damage. Many enemies can tank lots of hits, so you really need to learn this technique. One issue that I did come across is a lack of enemy variety. There are things like spiders, killer fish, strange box monsters, among other things, but most enemies you fight are phantom soldiers, which all look alike. The game does provide some variety by giving the phantoms different weapons and various types of armor. In order to defeat the phantoms, you'll have to destroy their armor and weapons first before you can kill them. This usually requires hitting the armor with critical hits. On top of criticals, your weapon has a level meter. As you kill more enemies, the meter fills up. The base level is 0, and you can fill it to level 3. The higher the level, the higher the base damage your weapon is. What I didn't really like about the weapon leveling is that when you take damage, your weapon level goes down. This can be frustrating, especially on bosses that require many hits to defeat. It also seems to go down much faster than it goes up. As for the bosses, you'll fight them in an arena, and unlike many RPGs, they have a health bar so you know that you're making progress or not. Each boss has a very unique set of attacks and will change up their patterns a few times as they take more damage. You'll also have to discover their weak points, as they usually have a weak spot that they try to keep hidden from you. I found these fights to be really enjoyable. They all take some effort, and the arenas add an extra challenge as they'll have hazards that can damage you. Defeated bosses reward you with an item to increase your hit points. This is the only way to increase your life, as there are no experience levels in this game. You'll find plenty of items throughout the dungeons and at shops in town. There are healing items in the form of candy and cakes. You'll also get oil for your drill, which can increase its level and preserve its strength when you get hit. You can also buy instructions to execute special moves. There are various accessories that you can equip, and you'll need them. The goggles are essential for swimming, you'll take damage in the water otherwise, and you'll need the gas mask in order to enter areas with poison gas. Other accessories allow you to see treasure locations on the in-game map, increase your attack power, defense power, and even a vampire hat which recovers HP when you land a critical hit on the enemy. All of your accessories can be upgraded multiple times at the shop. You'll pay for the upgrades with junk that you collect. Junk can be found in trash cans laying around different areas, and can also be had by destroying the Phantom's armor and weapons. Upgrading your accessories can be time-consuming, and you'll either love or hate having to grind for both junk and money. The battles are pretty fun, so I had a good time going back and fighting enemies again and again. Upon completion of each area, you're awarded with a medal based on your performance. Depending on how many pots you broke and enemies you killed, you'll get a bronze, silver, or gold medal. You can trade the bronze and silver medals for money, but gold medals can be used to purchase special accessories similar to the mini medals in the Dragon Quest games. This gives you a reason to go back through levels and gave me motivation to grind for money and junk, as I also wanted to get those gold medals. In later areas, it gets really difficult to get all the kills and break all the pots. This is because there are a ton of breakable features in the landscape. Some items and enemies are in areas that are hidden behind breakable walls. You want to try and break walls with cracks to find these areas and break everything that's destructible for hidden money, such as rocks, trees, and pillars. The controls are decent, but there are some frustrating aspects to this. First off, there are 3 control schemes that you can choose from in the PC, and 2 of them are absolutely horrible. You can use the keyboard exclusively, the keyboard and mouse combo, or connect a controller. Keyboard and mouse controls are really bad, and for some reason, there are only a limited set of keys that you can remap actions to. Using keyboard and mouse makes the game play like Diablo games on the PC, but with the fast-paced action of battles, it works really poorly. Also, this is a game from 2004, so if you have a multiple monitor setup, you can move the mouse pointer past the game to your other monitor and lose control. I strongly suggest using a controller for this. I used a PS4 controller, but you can use any preferred controller that you can connect to a PC. The left stick controls your movement, the right stick controls the camera, and the face buttons are used for attack, jump, and spin. The camera in this game is one of your worst enemies. This isn't a complaint I have of just this game. Most 3D games of the time seem to suffer from bad cameras. When you get into a corner, the camera has problems centering on you, and you're essentially fighting blind. Also, as you move, the camera wants to adjust so that it's behind your character facing forward. This causes a lot of problems, especially with platforming, as I'll line myself up to make a pretty difficult jump, then start moving to gain momentum, and miss the jump because of the camera rotating on me. The other thing I found to be weak in this game were the puzzles. Many of them are Zelda dungeon-like, where you're moving blocks onto panels, and they're all incredibly easy. I didn't find any of them challenging, and they felt more like a time waster after a while. There are some puzzles that are in the form of a riddle, where you have to pick the right answer or perform a particular action, and these were a little more challenging because you had to really read into the clues that you were given to what you're supposed to do. The graphics are very colorful and stylized. Backgrounds and terrain are very detailed, and characters are rendered with a low polygon count that reminds me of Dreamcast graphics. It makes the characters look unique to this game. You wouldn't mistake them for the style of Ys or Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy at all. I think the low polygon count design works for this cartoony style of the game, and I'd understand if some people thought that it makes the game somewhat dated looking. This era of games could do much more realistic character designs, so I think it was chosen for style and not because of hardware limitations. Each region in the world is quite unique graphically, and the elements of the environment blend together really well. There's lots of color, and depth of the 3D world looks really good. Open areas seem pretty expansive, and narrow passages and dungeons give a very claustrophobic feel. The English voices are okay, but nothing special. The biggest problem with these voiceovers is that they fall flat, and they don't convey any emotion whatsoever, contrary to what the graphics of the game are displaying. Sound effects are pretty good and quite unique. There's a mix of realistic effects like when you're attacking with the drill, and others that are very cartoony like the bouncing noise when you jump. Like most Falcom games, the music is spectacular. Every dungeon song is quite upbeat and fast-paced, while touching emotional scenes are filled with soft, melodic tracks. Many tracks are quite memorable, and I can't ever remember such an eclectic set of tracks for a dungeon crawling adventure. Here are a few samples to give you an idea of what to expect. Overall, I really enjoyed this game, from seeing Parin first arrive at the town to the bittersweet ending. Finishing the game on normal difficulty unlocks hard mode, where you'll take more damage and deal less. You can also unlock a difficulty mode, where enemies only take damage from critical hits. You'll also unlock a boss rush mode, and you can unlock a secret character to play as. There are also tons of extra outfits to find and win throughout the game. Both the Steam and GOG version have dozens of achievements you can unlock, if that's something you're interested in as well. I can't recommend this game enough. When I saw it as a related game to one of the Ys games that I was purchasing, I thought it looked like it would be a fun adventure, but I never thought I would enjoy it as much as I did. From the story's humor, bizarre characters, excellent dungeon design, and challenging boss battles, I found many reasons to keep coming back and playing this game. In total, I spent around 20 to 25 hours playing on the normal difficulty. I'd love to hear what you think about this game. Have you played it before? Have you even heard of it before? I'd love to know in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then.